Welcome back. Well, Malcolm Turnbull lost a lot of support when he began making concessions to the right wing of his party. One of those concessions was in the school curriculum. And schools are critical. They are where we learn important life skills like how to play hot cross buns on the recorder, or how to hold in a poo for 3 days when you're on school camp, or that if you very relatable. Or that if you call the teacher mum, nobody ever forgets when you call the teacher mum. Elliot's Tepperman. To do this learning, kids need to be safe, and until recently, the federal government was funding the Safe Schools program. Now, just because it has the word safe in it doesn't mean the program is about safety. Titles can be misleading. The Never-Ending Story only ran for 1 hour and 42 minutes. John Farnham's farewell tour the last time wasn't. And anyone who's read Andrew Bolt's book, Still Not Sorry, is very sorry. But unlike Andrew Bolt's book, the Safe Schools program is based on evidence. It's a program that aims to prevent bullying of LGBT students, but a number of Liberal Conservatives fought against the program, including Corey Bernardi, pictured here reading up on a position he'll never hold. Bernardi's attitudes towards homosexuality are well documented. In 2012, he claimed that same-sex marriage would lead to bestiality. Fortunately, Bernardi's theory was disproved by NRL player Mitchell Pearce, who showed that bestiality can occur even before we legalise same-sex marriage. Mitchell Pearce, behind that dog, but ahead of his time. Bernardi is worried that the Safe Schools program will radicalise children.
Schools should be places of learning, not of propaganda, and children should be children. They should not be enlisted as political activists.
Oh no, soon these kids will be making all sorts of demands. What do we want? Nap time. When do we want it? At nap time. Bernardi is very religious and believes in miracles. He even performed his own miracle when he caused Bill Shorten to develop a personality.
See this ridiculous obsession.
At least I'm honest, Bill. Yeah, you're a fraud.
No, mate. At least I'm not a homophobe either, mate.
Moses might have parted the Red Sea, but Corey Bernardi made Bill Shorten interesting. As this debate about an anti-bullying program descended into schoolyard insults, Bernardi took to the Senate to defend his honour.
Rather than engage in the merit of a debate, he's gone into full homophobe moan.
Now, according to the dictionary, a homophobe moan is the sound that is the sound that a Corey Bernardi makes when he climaxes. That is the sound he makes. Here he is, fantasising about receiving a knighthood from Tony Abbott. A very big knighthood. Speaking of Christensens, George Christensen is another Liberal MP against the program. George seems to support every Conservative political agenda. He doesn't believe in climate change, he supports Reclaim Australia and opposes same-sex marriage. You never would have guessed he's from North Queensland. In fact, his Facebook profile picture is literally a caricature of a right-wing Conservative. He posted this picture that compared same-sex marriage to lax gun laws, which makes perfect sense until you think about it. In case you were wondering though, that's an A-gay 47, just in case you were wondering. George also posted this on his Facebook page to mock how the Safe Schools program would lead to boys wearing girls' uniforms, which is a strange thing for him to mock, considering he once performed as a cross-dressing ballerina in the Nutcracker at the Mackay Festival of Arts. No wonder they call the Nutcracker. That is a very tight tutu. But why is George so concerned about the program?
We need to look at other methods that aren't originating in an ideology of queer gender theory, and let's be honest, Marxism, and I know you guys are going to make fun of that.
No, he's right. We are going to make fun of that. Because I think George is confused. There's a difference between getting full marks and going full Marxist. Hey, Mum, I got 100% in the Safe Schools program, and now I'm going to overthrow the bourgeois. Corey and George also have the support of the Australian Christian Lobby's director, Lyle Shelton. He outraged readers of his blog when he compared the Safe Schools program to Nazi atrocities. I know, I couldn't believe anyone read his blog either. Lyle then went onto the project to continue his attack.
This book, The Gender Fairy, is promoted by Safe Schools through their resources, and it encourages schools to stock this in their library.
If the Australian Christian Lobby doesn't want kids reading a book about a character with supernatural powers who preaches tolerance and love, they'll have to cancel Sunday school. The real question is, why the fuss? The Safe Schools program has been operating since 2010, but it took 6 years for a review to be called. That's like reaching season 6 of Game of Thrones and saying, actually, come to think of it, there's a bit of violence and nudity in this show, come to think of it. Following the review, the federal government will fund a watered-down version of the program in secondary schools that is only available to students if their parents provide consent. But kids shouldn't need parental consent to be in a program that should be part of the curriculum anyway. Now look, Jennifer, we're about to do algebra, but your parents forgot to sign the consent form. We can't expose you to equations you're just not ready for yet, Jennifer. You filthy Marxist. We just can't do it. In Victoria, Premier Daniel Andrews has promised that the program will continue to be rolled out in its original form, much to the dismay of opposition leader Matthew Guy, a man so certain of his gender he made it his surname. Matthew Guy opposes the program because he said a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. And he has a point. If George Christensen has taught us anything, a one-size-fits-all approach does not work. So, to recap, the Safe Schools program is a Marxist and Nazi ideology, somehow linked to guns, that has been scaled back because our supposedly progressive Prime Minister made concessions to a couple of Christians and some guy in a tutu who thinks the program promotes cross-dressing. If you're confused, scared and need someone to tell you that those feelings are perfectly natural, then you know exactly how it feels to be an LGBT student.